Now, was there a city that you felt the most community with the women there? Because I have again not experienced outside of
Hmm.
the Philadelphia Eagles organization and the women that I've come across there, but it has been like naturally with the NFL a revolving door of women going other places and then staying in contact with them and finding out what the community was like the next place that they ended up. So
Totally.
what was there one city that stands out as a really strong like community with the women?
Yeah, and it was the Los Angeles Chargers. But I have to think, was it because we were there for 4 years? Was it because we stayed here year round? I think all those factors definitely come into play because every place I've had a really good experience with other women. Um, Definitely some teams who emphasize family more than others, but I think that just kind of comes with the territory. The Chargers had a lot to do with the family outside of just the guys. I think maybe being like owned by the Spanos family helped with that. There were a lot of like activities for the women. There was like weekly hangouts. We also lived near the beach, so like yoga on the beach, maybe that helped with that. We also were drafted with a group of men who had girlfriends, and they also got engaged and then got married along the same time frame. So I think that had to help with that. And everybody my husband got drafted with stayed for the full 4 years, which is very rare.
But it is interesting to think that when you're in sort of the same phase of life, that
Hmm.
it lends itself to building a little bit of a stronger community because you're hitting the same phases at the same time.
Right. And so whenever people ask me, oh, are there cliques when it comes to like an NFL team with the wives and women? I'm like, no, it's really just like, don't have kids, have kids.
Have time, don't have time.
Exactly. It's like, hey, can we get a play date because I need a glass of wine and I need somebody else to drink it with?
Another human being to speak, another adult to speak to.
Somebody who can like talk back and not
Yes.
yell at me. That would be
Yep.
great.
We did get to a point in Philly where I had somehow become the oldest. It was always like I was like, oh shit, that is me.
You're like
And so
looking for somebody who's going to play.
yeah, I'm like, is anyone else going to take the lead? Anyone? Nope. Okay. But we got to a point where we would almost so like stalk people on social media just to be like, have you posted with a girl? You just got here. Have you posted with a woman recently?
Mhm.
If so, we'll go to her page. If her page is private, we'll ask before we follow. But otherwise, if she's public and we can see that you guys are still together, we'll just slide into your DMs and be like, hey, welcome. Because I think that they're so busy and they're trying to build their own relationships in the locker room.
Mhm.
And if I ever went to my husband and said, hey, can you approach so-and-so and ask for his significant other's phone number? It would be 3 years before I got that. So
you would find the phone number in like a wad at the end of football season in like a shoe or something.
In a cleat at the bottom of the locker. Yes, exactly. So we really found that the best way to do it was to just be direct and say like, hey, if you need anything, it was the same situation as you for LA. Like, we're here year round. If there's anything I can be of assistance with, or you need advice about, or even if it's just a restaurant recommendation, let me know. Because I do think just initiating contact, I might not be your community here,
right?
But I can help you in to then introduce you to the other women.
And that's God's work. Like, I have to say, like on behalf of all of the girls who have traveled around to different teams, people like you make the experience so much better and so much less lonely. And I know that like I've been reached out to via DM, and I get like random chats and like, hey, I got your number from so-and-so. Like, hey, if you need anything. And those are the girls that I always gravitated towards because I'm like, oh, you're okay reaching out to a stranger and offering X, Y, and Z. Like, this is great. This is helpful. And I feel like even having one point of contact that you can be like, hey, is there like a good bagel place around here? Like,
or even just
that.
How do you get to the family room? Like, you're in the stadium and you're all by yourself, and some of the stadium staff often know where it is, but I can't tell you how many people I would get like a random phone call during a game and they would be like, what section is it behind? I'm like, I'll be right there. But it's having that point of contact. And we really can't rely on similarly to everything else in life, like we as women need to be sort of that self-sufficient, can't rely on our husbands. And so we just got to take matters into our own hands. But I also felt like there was always a drop off between like practice squad and people who were in during preseason. And so we would always try to make that contact early, because at the end of the day, even if you're not on the final roster in Philadelphia, you could be going to a team that we know someone who had been in Philly for a long time who's there, and we can connect you then. So it was always this, I mean, there's a very large web of women in the NFL. And I think the best thing that they can do, I say they now because I'm retired, but the best thing they can do now is to continue to sort of weave the web and make sure that the women feel supported and connected, and can do that independently outside of their spouse or significant other.
Absolutely. I think so many people kind of forget that, is that these players are going through all these things and ups and downs and what have you not, but also the wives and significant others and family members are also going through that. So I think even when I talked about it on social media of like, oh yeah, there's a family room, there's this, there's that, and people are like, oh my God, he should just stick to football. I'm like, hold on, I'm not even talking about him. I'm talking about me and what I need. And I'm like, moving to a new city is never easy. And so having like a group of women, or even having something as simple as like, oh, okay, like I'm going to go down to the family room for 5 seconds, like, and just take a break. I think that's like the biggest game changer. And it's surprising that some teams I've like my husband has filled out a questionnaire at the very beginning of the season. And like, they're like, oh, do you have a significant other? And then they'll get the numbers. And it's crazy that they haven't figured it out yet.
Crickets.
Yeah. Like, what's going on?
I do think there were multiple seasons where we in Philly would get to November and then have a moment of, oh shit, somebody plan a holiday party. Like we still haven't gotten together.
You hosted a Christmas party, did you not?
We did. Yes. I did not host it, but I co-hosted it. You don't want any parties at my house. You'll be like tripping over toys and sliding in like yogurt.
You're like, it's for the best.
Yeah. You don't, unless you like don't mind getting your like pants dirty when you sit down on our couch, like then come on over.
But it is crazy because I feel like every single team has like a team mom in a way. Not
very much so.
You don't even have to be a mom, but it's usually a guy who's on a contract for a few years. I would say usually O-lineman, maybe sometimes quarterback, but usually O-lineman. And it's one of the wives that's just like, hey, I've been here for a minute. And you just have to it's like literally team mom.
Yes. And it's not always top choice. Like I'm not kidding. Every year, like the last, I would say 2-3 years of Jason's career, I would be like,
anybody
no one else,
anybody else? Hand.
No one. Shit. Okay. Like, here we go. Okay. I guess I'm doing it now. And it's not because I didn't want to. I just like was very much like, I feel unfit for this role.
Well,
usually I feel like it's
fit. Like if you have 3 daughters, like you have to be a little fit.
I'm still not sure how that happened.
Literally about to have 4 daughters.
Yeah. Still not sure how that happened. I still have moments where I'm like, I'm a teen mom. That's crazy. Wait, no, I'm not. I'm in my 30s. Okay, here we are.
I was scared to tell my parents I was pregnant. So I feel like a baby still for sure.
I'm permanently 24 in my head. It's the age that I'm stuck at. I will always be 24. You can't talk me out of it.
I'm right there with you. So I'm sure it's surprising when people are like, wait, you're the oldest on the team. And you're like, oh.
That's what it was. Every year the rookies would come in and I'm like, oh, we're not the same age. Never mind. We are not. We are.
Like,
the girls would tell me
from college. You're like, oh.
Okay.